All right, that's enough for the interview. Time for one giant uh one giant rant and lore dump that'll make you question everyone's sanity.
Oh my
So,
gosh, I already do, but go ahead.
how
Totally
much
kidding.
do you know about the Fate franchise?
uh, Honestly, nothing. I know that it exists. I know that it is well beloved. Um, but other than that, not much. I've probably seen a couple of characters that are in the series in passing on the internet, but honestly, I
You've
didn't
seen
really know
Saber.
them. So
You've seen the woman in a blue dress with.
Saber's the blonde. Yes, yeah, blue dress like with like white blonde. Yes, I have seen that character for sure.
All right, starting off strong. So let me do some real world background, and then basically go over some I got notes. Got a bunch of
Ooh,
notes that'll give
let's
you
go.
all the background information that that you'll need to know if you want to not be confused. Now, there are
Gotcha.
technically spoilers, but those don't mean anything because the only way to avoid spoilers in the only approved non-spoiler way to enjoy Fate is to play a 100-hour visual novel to completion.
Whoa, gotcha.
So anyway, Kinoko Nasu is the creator of the Type Moon universe. I think his first uh visual novel was Tsukihime, which translates to Moon Princess. It's about
Hmm.
oh, you cosplayed as Fate Nero, Nova.
Ooh, that's awesome. Heck
Nero
yeah.
is also a saber.
Oh.
Saber is not just one person.
Oh yeah, no worries. Do, do, do.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good. No worries.
Anyway,
Life happens.
Kinoko Nasu's breakout work was Tsukihime, a visual novel about uh are you going to get into Tsukihime or not?
Potentially. I think there's a whole incredibly long list of visual novel series that I would like to get into, which I feel like given how critical the series is to what I assume is a lot of other visual novel series, I probably will, but it remains to be seen. I'm not sure.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you a real quick breakdown. It's a story about
Hmm.
the romance between the princess of all vampires and a boy with special eyes that allows him to see the death of all things.
Ooh.
That's a spoiler free review. Anyway, uh, Nasu got real popular with the release of Fate Stay Night, which was originally an eroge visual novel. That means it had dirty scenes.
I'm
Anyway, those have been
familiar.
scrubbed out of every other release. Good luck,
Mm-hmm.
good luck finding the original.
Right.
Anyway,
Probably costs a lot too.
anyway, it stars this guy Shiro Emiya, uh, and his servant Saber as they tackle the Fifth Holy Grail War. Um, there are three routes. Fate route, which goes over the romance of Saber. Unlimited Blade Works, which goes over the romance of Rin Tosca. And Heaven's Feel, which sorry, and Heaven's Feel,
You're
which go.
good.
Sorry, it's dinner. Uh, I'm gonna wait until I'm finished. And Fate route, Saber route, Unlimited Blade Works, Rin Tosaka route, Heaven's Feel, Sakuramato route. Anyway, that's all I can really give you without spoiling anything. Now let's go over all the background information and the timeline so you don't get too confused when playing. First, to quote The Sound of Music, let's start at the very beginning, a very good place to start. Which brings me neatly along to Akasha, also called the Root, which is it's a dimension outside time and space that's basically the origin of all things. If it exists, it originated from Akasha.
Ooh.
If a mage reaches Akasha, they get access to true magic, which brings me to the difference between magecraft and true magic. Magecraft, as it's described in the series, is a scientifically possible phenomena brought out through magical means. Though, if you spend any time consuming Fate media, you'll come to realize that that's more of a suggestion rather than a hard rule, but whatever, that's the explanation I was given, and so I'm gonna regurgitate it onto you. Anyway, true magic is stuff that is completely impossible for science to ever replicate. There are 5 true magics, but we know that we've only ever seen 3 because Nasu just sits on all of his best ideas and never puts them down or translates them. The first no wait, we only know the second, third, and fifth. Second magic is called Kaleidoscope.
Ooh, that's a cool name.
And it allows for the observation, travel between, and access to the unlimited magical energy of all the infinite different universes. Why is it called Kaleidoscope? Don't ask me. The third magic is called Heaven's Feel, which you can guess which route it's brought up in the most. It allows for manipulation and manifestation of the soul. It includes ripping souls out of bodies, putting souls into things, and literal immortality. The fifth magic, I don't know the name of it off the top of my head, but it's literal time manipulation. Time travel, sending predetermined events into the future or the past. It's just paradox waiting to happen. Anyway, every mage wants to reach Akasha in order to get true magic. Which brings me neatly, well, not neatly, there's nothing neat about the Fate timeline, but it brings me to the Fate timeline. Anyway, thankfully, there's none of this, before the Battle of Yavin, after the Battle of Yavin, based around this arbitrary first installation in the series. No, screw that. You got BC and AD, or other words, the Age of Gods and the Age of Man. If you can't tell, this is going to sound like a schizophrenic meltdown. Basically, the Age of Gods is like a bunch of humans start worshipping their gods, and because humans have it in their minds that gods exist, Akasha creates gods. Yes, you heard that right. Gods exist because people worship them. People don't worship gods because they exist. It's really screwy, but that's just Fate in a nutshell. Anyway, it's the Age of Gods. Physics just doesn't exist. The ruling force of the world is mystery, and it's literally what it sounds like on the tin. Anything that is mysterious or unknown has mystery. Anyway, it's a really nice gig for the gods. They can go around, go to the mortal realm, screw a bunch of mortal women, and sorry, a bunch of demigod bastards. You know Greek mythology. Anyway, yes, everything's going good for the gods, not so great for the humans, until this giant titan called Sephar, Seffar, comes in and starts screwing things up. So, the fairies, which are basically the... Oh, wait, I forgot to go over the counterforce. Basically, the counterforce is the defense mechanism of the world. It prevents people from reaching Akasha, and it's split into two parts. Alaya, which originates from and protects humanity, and Gaia, which originates from and protects the planet itself. So, the fairies, they, anyway, the fairies, they, which are basically extensions of Gaia's will, they forge a weapon capable of defeating Sephar, and they create a sword called Excalibur. Yes, that Excalibur. Forged by the fairies, given to King Arthur. It Don't ask me how. Anyways, Sephar is defeated, but oh no, it did a bit of a fucky wucky, and mystery is starting to wane. And with mystery starting to wane, the gods are losing their powers. So they're like, oh, well, F this. If we don't do something soon, we're gonna lose our ability to screw mortal women and screw with mortal men. So through a bunch of weird, crazy crap that I can't explain, and I doubt any Fate fan could. I don't think any Fate fan could explain this. They create Gilgamesh from the Epic of Gilgamesh, who's 2/3 god and 1/3 man. How does that work? Don't know. I was never good at math, and I'm even worse at Fate math. Anyway, so they're like, you're gonna stay in the human world and do our bidding, so we can screw with mortals vicariously through you. And he's like, no, screw you. I'm gonna do what I want. So they create this guy called Enkidu from clay, and basically the Epic of Gilgamesh plays out. After his quest, he's recorded into the Throne of Heroes and becomes the first recorded heroic spirit. Throne of Heroes is basically this part of Akasha where anyone who achieved great deeds in life and became a hero is transferred to the Throne of Heroes to become a candidate for Grand Heroic Spirit. Anyway, let me just check my notes. Anyway, after that, mystery keeps on waning until BC becomes AD. Jesus of Nazareth is born. There's a giant star, and now it's the Age of Man. Physics is in charge, not mystery. Gods can't screw with mortals anymore. And as time goes on, mystery keeps getting weaker, and this is a bad thing for mages, because magecraft gets its power from mystery, even though it's something that can only be done through scientific means, and science didn't become a thing until mystery was already on the decline. Don't ask me. No one knows. I don't know. I call myself a lore master, but there are no masters. Nasu just flies by the seat of his clown pants. Anyway, around things go around in the first millennium AD. King Arthur happens. That's spoilers for the Fate route. Anyway, it's the year 1800, and three mage families are coming up with a ritual to reach Akasha. So there's the Einsburns, the Toscas, and the Makiri, who will later change their name to Matos, so I'm just going to call them the Mato family from now on to make things simple on me, because this is already a giant fustercluck. Anyway, basically, the Einsburn family was originated by this one mage who was actually a magician who capable of using the third magic. And even though true magic is only inheritable through heredity and blood, a bunch of homunculi that have no blood relation to the guy inherited the third magic. Some freaking how. No clue. Anyway, the head of the Einsburn family becomes the core of the Holy Grail system, creating the Greater Grail and Holy Grail war system. The Toscas offer the spiritual lands of Fuyuki as a battleground, and the Matos use their absorption and binding magic to create command spells to create three inviolable orders that servants can't break. Anyway, the purpose of the Holy Grail War is to summon 7 heroic spirits, and oh wait, first I need to go over magical energy. Magical energy is a process form of life force. There are 2 sources of life force: Ode, which is the life force of humans, and Mana, which is the life force of the planet. Got it? Good. Anyway, they use the Holy Grail War system to summon 7 heroic spirits, and force them to kill. And once all 7 are killed, all the magical energy will flow into a homunculus vessel called the Lesser Grail, and it will transform into the Greater Grail, and it will open a route to Akasha. Got it? Good. Now, this might sound good, but there's this little thing about Akasha. Once one person finds a way around the counterforce to get to Akasha, that it won't work. The counterforce learns and is like, nope, you're not doing that again. So only one person can go, and they start disagreeing, and it basically it turns into the First Holy Grail War. Now, how do they get 4 other mages to fight? Well, this thing offers a wish if you kill only 6 servants. It grants a wish to the master and the servant. How does it do that? Is it intentional? Not a clue. No one knows. This is a giant mess. I'm getting a headache.
Oh no. I don't blame you. That's an incredible amount of information that you're providing right now. So
Anyway, the First Holy Grail War starts. The Tosca family is trying to reach Akasha. The Matos are trying to get immortality for reasons that are spoilers for the Heaven's Feel route, and the Einsburns are trying to wish to reclaim the third magic. Anyway, this is basically a giant drunken bar fight. There's no rules, so no one wins. Second one happens like in 1860, I believe. There's still no rules, so no one wins. At the Third Holy Grail War, the Catholic Church steps in as like, "Hey, we're gonna watch over you, enforce rules, because this might be the actual Holy Grail," even though they know it isn't, because they just don't like the Mages Association. The Mages Association is a governing body. There are 3 branches. You don't have to worry about it right now. It'll be explained at some point in the visual novel, in the anime, or something. I don't know.
it's somewhere.
Anyway, the Third Holy Grail War starts, and oh yeah, I need to go over the 7 servant classes. There's Saber, Archer, Lancer, Caster, Assassin, Rider, Berserker. The Berserker stat class has the highest, is the greatest at fighting, bar none, hands down. So you'd think everyone would want to summon it, right? Well, the more intense a servant fights, the more magical energy it needs. And they can take magical energy from their master without their consent. So, with the most intense fighting of any servant class, they drain all their magical energy and by extension their life force, and they all die. So the Einsburns are like, well, we're gonna hack the Grail War system and summon an illegal servant instead of a Berserker. It's gonna auto win us the Grail War, and they summon an Avenger class servant. Now, there are certain requirements for being a heroic spirit of a certain class. Sabers have to be heroic spirits of the sword, have to have a legend involving a sword, be unmatched with swords, and basically that's it. The Berserker class has to have gone berserk once in their lifetime in their legend. The Avenger class only has to be motivated by revenge, which is pretty broad. So they end up summoning this country bumpkin called Angra Mainyu, aka the Angry Mango or Angry Matthew, whatever you prefer. Anyway, he can't fight for shit and he loses immediately. And he's so evil, he taints the Grail War system forever. Anyway, yeah, that next up is the events of the Fourth Holy Grail War, and that is the events of Fate Zero, so I'm not going to spoil it. Next up is the Fifth Holy Grail War, which involves Fate's Day Night, which is the big draw that everyone watches, so I'm not going to spoil it. There are 3 routes. You know this. Anyway, next up is Fate Hollow Ataraxia. It takes place 6 months after the Fifth Holy Grail War. And Rin Tosca is doing a magic experiment when she does a bit of a fucky-wucky. And she merges all timelines and creates... And because this one character off-screen made a wish to not die, it creates a 4-day loop. Day takes place in some visual novel format. Night is the events of the Third Holy Grail War created by Anger Mainyu, but with the characters of the Fifth Holy Grail War, because that he only knows the Third Holy Grail War, but he has information on the Fifth Holy Grail War. It's just anyway, he meets this look, there's way better people to ask than me. And we're done with the flagship Fate franchise. Next up is the spin-offs.
Again, I do appreciate
There's Fate Apocrypha, which follows the timeline up to the Third Holy Grail War, but instead of summoning an Avenger-class servant, they summon a Ruler-class servant. And after that, the Nazis come, and they take the Holy Grail War system. Everyone makes a bunch of cheap knockoffs, and then they're like, we're going to make the Holy Grail War great again. So the Nazi Romanian guy creates the Great Holy Grail War, where there's 14 servants instead of 7. There's the red team and the black team. This is where Mordred debuts. There's also... can I just... Anyway, that's basically all you have to know if you want to. That's basically all you're gonna need to know if you're gonna watch the Unlimited Blade Works anime, the Heaven's Feel movies, and play the Fate route. You can watch the Studio Dean Fate adaptation, but it's really low quality, so I wouldn't recommend it. Oh, and get out a pen and paper for me,
Okay,
or just pick up anything you can. Huh?
I have a sticky note app on my computer.
Perfect. Pull that up.
Okay.
When you watch Heaven's Feel, write down this: Sakura is an unreliable narrator. You're my friend. I don't want you to misunderstand one of the greatest tragedies in all of Type Moon. People are like, oh, this character is like a totally different person from the other roots. No. The POV is on an unreliable narrator. It's not that this person is bad, evil. They're acting the same. It's just that this person is an unreliable narrator. They perceive that person as evil, so she looks evil. So many hours I've banged my head against a brick wall saying, oh, everyone's like, oh, Rin is cartoonishly evil in Heaven's Feel. No. Sakura is an unreliable narrator. She views Rin as an enemy, so that's what we see her as. She's not cartoonishly evil. I've saved one person from angry forum posts. Anyway,
well, there you go.
That's basically all you need to know, and it's all I can muster. See you guys. I'm gonna get dinner and maybe take a Tylenol or 2.